to Dawndy and Craig Plank. This economic losses from historic flooding expected to easily top $1 billion. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, it's frightening, isn't it, Sam? In fact, I had talked to you earlier about another issue that we'll hit on again about some phone lines being down for people wanting to call their insurance agents, because obviously we got to get the process rolling for those who do have flood insurance. But for those who don't have flood insurance, there's a whole other issue here, and with FEMA. So this information that we just got from NBC, can you explain it to our viewers? Will people be covered or not if they don't already have flood insurance? And we'll cover what you need to know if you do have flood insurance.
Yeah, so without flood insurance, the quick answer is probably not. And we know that in certain pockets, especially along the coast, that there's a huge disparity with what the National Flood Insurance Program has insured versus those they don't. And as you move further inland, that's only going to be greater, meaning that there are more people who do not have flood insurance. And so without flood insurance, you will not find coverage under your homeowner's policy. The homeowner's policy specifically excludes flood insurance. So what do you do in a case like that? I think it's always important to document your loss. That's going to be taking pictures, creating a list of the valuables that you have damaged, starting to look at and making an inventory of the value as well.
And how do you know that you're picking the right value? Like, how do you can't just say, oh, well, I think that table was $500, or even if you knew the table was $500 when you bought it, what about the fact you've had it for 10 years? I mean, doesn't that decrease it? Do you have to get somebody to come in and do estimates on your possessions?
Well, it depends. I mean, every insurance company is going to have slight variations as it relates to that, but typically a lot of the policies out there are going to be replacement cost type policies. So initially they're going to be, the claim is typically handled at a depreciated value minus your deductible. But as items are replaced, then with the same like-kind quality, that difference is made back up.
Mm-hmm. And again, this information is that flooding costs are going to seep past the $1 billion mark, and that sadly a lot of people, there are huge gaps. Even though South Carolina ranks as one of the most insured states in the nation, there are huge gaps, which means, and this is confusing because I mean we keep giving people the phone number and the website for FEMA, but you would want to emphasize that that's for assistance and not to actually come in and completely redo a home?
Right. So FEMA grants are going to help some people, but the bulk of people are going to be uninsured. And you don't want to get a FEMA expert on to discuss how that actually relates, but typically you're looking at an assistance that will later need to be paid back, so that there is some relief immediately. But
and for those who get some of that relief, they can't expect it to come overnight. I know you said you had someone call you and say, thinking the check would be in the mail today kind of thing.
Right. No, I mean, all this is going to take some time.
Okay.
Different carriers are already moving in with their disaster teams, and typically those are going to set up remote sites. You can expect probably minimum 2 weeks to 30 days plus for them to be able to handle the sheer volume. Another thing that we're not talking about are automobiles. Probably the greatest, a number of automobiles have been damaged as a result of this, and that is typically covered under what we call comprehensive coverage or other than collision coverage, and that comes with a deductible, but water flood is covered in that scenario. So these cars that we see in these terrible photos where they're underwater and they're up against trees, those, assuming they have what you'll hear people refer to as full coverage, but more specifically comprehensive coverage, they should have coverage for that loss.
Okay, let's go to those people for sure who have flood insurance, which again, as you stated earlier, is a separate policy from your homeowner's policy. So if they have flood insurance, some of them have been having trouble today getting through to their agents because some phone lines are down. In fact, I'm hoping we've got in the system now 3 phone numbers for you, but explain how it works. If you can't get a hold of your local insurance agent, no matter your carrier, what do you do?
Right, so we've already had several agencies and different companies have problems with their phone systems. So at this point, to get direct access to claims, let me ramble off some of the 3 major carriers in the area. In the Midlands, we have State Farm, which is 1-800-SF-CLAIM, 1-800-SF, like State Farm Claim. Allstate, 1-800-ALLSTATE, and then nationwide, 1-800-421-3535.
And there's the nationwide one.
and that will give you direct access to report your claim. And another very critical component to this is mitigating your damage. We talked about creating lists and pictures, but another thing is with standing water. We talked about this earlier, that water can move through different phases very quickly, from being a freshwater type of just rainwater standing pool to toxic in a matter of short period of time.
Sure.
So that's something to be very careful about, and get emergency responders in there, the companies that are specialized in water extraction.
Okay, is there anything else as we wrap up that you'd want viewers to know that will help them through this process?
I think it's critical at this time to make sure that when the water subsides and the roads are safe, that we do go back out or that people contact their insurance companies and make sure they do a thorough review of what they have. Sadly, this is when we find out what we don't have.
Yeah, then it's too late. All right. Well, like a good neighbor, Craig Plank.
Thanks,
Well, I married him. All right, Sam. Thank you, dear.
All right, you bet.
Thank you.